You're listening to the Life Friendly Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Thomas Wong, business mentor, author, and founder of the Cocoon VIP membership, empowering women around the world to build businesses on their terms. If you want to grow and scale a business that works in harmony with your family and your life, this podcast is for you. Hello and welcome to the Life Friendly Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Thomas Wong, and today I'm speaking to career coach Sarah Hickling from Your Time Coaching. Sarah explains why she decided to leave a successful career in retail to retrain and set up on her own as a career coach. She shares her tips for a great work-life balance and also explains why she thinks it's so important that we have the opportunity to be heard and to be listened to without fear of judgment. Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me on the Life Friendly Business Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really excited to be here.
You're welcome. And yeah, it'd be great to hear your story because you had a successful career in retail, probably quite stressful and working a lot of hours.
Definitely.
And you made the decision to step away and work for yourself as a career coach. So I'd love to know why you decided to do that.
Well, as you said, I had a really good career within retail, really enjoyed it. And I still, even today, look back and think, God, there were some good times and everything. And I'm still really good friends with some of the people that, even 10, 15 years later, which is fantastic. But there was just something about the fact that I was working silly hours and I didn't really, I think I felt like I got a little bit lost, and I got to a certain level, which was a great level. But I was like, where am I going? And actually, I wasn't in control of what I wanted to do, and control of my time, my work-life balance. And I hit a brick wall. And it was just, I needed to take control of what I'm doing. But ultimately work out what it is that I could do. And I actually met a career coach, and he was fantastic. And I realized that what he was doing is everything that I love doing with other people. And I was like, this is exactly what I can do. I can support people. I can, help them grow within their roles and whatever, but ultimately under my own time and my own space, and be in control of that, which I just felt I'd lost my way, I guess is the right thing to say, when I was in there. But I will never look back and think it was a regret, because it wasn't, because it's made me who I am today. And I had loads of experience in supporting and managing other people, which ultimately has helped me today, and also developed the business that I've got.
And it's interesting, isn't it, that, it was only when you experienced having a career coach yourself that it opened up this world that you didn't know about before, because we don't know that these kind of careers and businesses exist.
Exactly. And because I remember, when I was back in the day thinking a coach is just for senior level. But it's not. It's ultimately for anybody that's feeling a little bit stuck, feeling like they need some support along the way. That's absolutely, a great thing. But it's making sure that I want to be able to be available to lots of different people. So it's interesting how I didn't have that when I was growing up, and it wasn't really around, but it was only for senior people. And there was coaches, but I really understand and feel that the career coaching part of it is what I really love doing, because I think it's really important that you can be in control of your career path. But there's lots of different coaches, motivational coaches, and health coaches and things like that. But he triggered something in me that I knew that he had helped me so much that I wanted to then start helping other people in a real structured way.
So explain a little bit about how you help people now.
So I help like a variety of people, and it is actually, funny enough, it's not to do with the age or gender or anything on that line. It's just somebody that's feeling a little bit stuck within their role. But it also can be somebody who's gone for a promotion, and they've got that role and they're scared about moving forward within that. How do they cope with it all? And it's providing that confidence. So, but I very much start kind of at the beginning, really, because I will look at their work-life balance and like, what do they want? How many hours sleep do they need? All the things around them. So it's not just about the job they're going for. It's about setting up the whole of them. We focus quite a lot on values because it's really important that they feel comfortable with knowing what their values are, because when you're going to a new organization or staying within their own organization, it's really important to know that, do you know what, it really fits with me or it doesn't fit with me. So I want to make sure I can feel comfortable, and values is a really important thing. We then focus, then on their strengths. They look at their transferable skills. They're really important, particularly if they wanted to change career. But yeah, I will always go back to basics, because sometimes it might not even be the job that needs to change. It might be something they're doing in their personal life they want to change. It could be that they want to go running and they just don't know how to fit that in their diary. It could be a number of other things, so which can impact people within their role, but they don't realize that at the time. And they think, right, I just need to get a new job. And it's not always the case. And I know with organizations, recruitment and taking on new starters is not a cheap thing to do. It takes time and it takes funds. So when somebody comes in, you want to make sure that they get running quite quickly, and things like that. But you want to support them along the way. But if you've got your values there, if you've got your work-life balance, we're never ever going to get it totally nailed. We're all going to go, oh, had a bad week this week. But if we can get some structure in that way, it's really, really important for any transition with any change within the job.
So there's a couple of things there. Like, first of all, it sounds like the value that you can bring to organizations by coaching their, valuable team members, like you say, it prevents them losing employees because, they're burned out and all those kind of things. But also the really holistic approach that you take. And I feel exactly the same, that I think that we live such busy lives that we don't take time to reflect on the bigger picture of what do I actually want? What do I want my life to look like?
Exactly. And it's difficult because, I've helped a lady that she's really good at her job. The line manager, the CEO said, I don't want to lose her, but I'm worried I might lose her, but I don't want to lose her, but I think she just needs some support. So went in there and realized that her confidence was lacking. So I was like, right, let's build on that, and we're looking at what her achievements are. And I'm like, that's a blooming good achievement. And I think sometimes people just don't think they've done great stuff. And I have to remind them, that's a really good thing. And that's a big deal that you've just delivered that project and things. But also when somebody moves into a more management role, and that's sort of the natural thing, the higher you go up, you tend to take on more, team members under you. But that's not always, doesn't have to always be the case. But when it is the case, it's having somebody around to bounce off things that doesn't judge. I can bring my own experiences, my own failures, my own sort of troubles that I had, and really support them and guide them and just give them a bit of confidence to then take on that role, take on being a manager, so that the organization can focus on what they're doing. And I can take that little bit of strain away from the organization, so that, because sometimes people struggle to be really, really, truly honest with their manager because they're worried that might affect them going forward. And by talking to me, it doesn't matter. I'm not their employer. But what my investment is, and my time is, I love supporting people, and I don't care what level, I don't care what your background is. I want you to do well, and I want you to be confident. I want you to grow, and I want you to have a more balanced life ultimately, and then go after some of those dreams that you want to do.
And that's so important. And I think, for small business owners as well, how isolated you can feel. And,
Definitely.
you might not have friends and family who get it, who you can talk to openly. And that's where, having a mentor or coach where you can get those outside perspectives, but also having cheerleaders. Like, that's why I created the Cocoon, which you're part of, and having that support of people to hold the mirror up for you. Like Definitely. You said about her achievements, look at what you've done, and let that soak in.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because as time goes on, more and more people are going into business and things like that. But we weren't necessarily given those skills when we left school, or it wasn't really there. But ultimately, sometimes because you've gone on to do this venture of running your own business, which is scary, but also has some, blooming positive things to it. doing it on your own is super hard. So I do help business owners, tends to be small business owners that are running and maybe got a couple of people, but it's actually to help them because they haven't got lots of people in an organization to bounce off ideas. But also it's having that accountability because you don't have a line manager to go, oh, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done that? And I'm exactly the same. I have people I work with for different types of things, whether it's health, whether it's my business, or whether it's other things that I bounce off and make sure, and they keep me accountable, because otherwise you can just slip back into, oh, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next week. And then before you know it, months later, you're like, I still haven't done that one thing, which you need to do.
Yes, I mean, in terms of having that person that you can speak to very openly without fear of judgment. Yeah. I know that, for my regular mentoring clients, they say that having that hour where they're just focused on them and their business, and they've got 100% attention from me. Yeah. And, I think when you're trying to juggle everything else and, maybe you've got kids and you're focusing on them all the time and you're trying to keep the house and you're doing all these things and you're trying to be a partner and a daughter and all these things. And actually, this is like that time when you're being coached or mentored is completely and entirely for you.
Yeah. And some of the things I will do with people is like, so you want to have a massage once a month. Well, let's get that booked in. Let's get that part of your program. Why would you want to stop something that helps you? Because if you take that time aside to really focus on you, then you're going forward, your business is only going to help. And so I've been part of Evolve, which has been fantastic for me. And so I did the 12-week program, and the amount of ideas that came from it from other people, but I had real kind of clarity, that support, but everyone was focused on me. And I think that's really important when you are running your own business, is that you have that for you and don't feel like you could either, you shouldn't do it or anything on that line. It's really important that you go, do you know what? I need a bit of mentoring time. I need a bit of mastermind time. I need a bit of Evolve time. You really need to get that and be part of that. I didn't get it in the first few years, didn't get it. But I do get it now, and I'm always going to have that be part of my business plan going forward. Is I have some time for me, because if I have time for me, I can then help other people.
Yeah,
and really, really important.
So for people that haven't heard about Evolve, it's the 12-week mastermind program that I run, and every week you have a hot seat opportunity on the call where we all focus on you and your problems and things. And I think, what's a really important point there is, and most of the women I work with are heart-led businesses, and they are serving other people. They are helping other people. And it's so important that you get help yourself. Exactly. I mean, it's like, you're training to be a counsellor as well. And from what I understand, as for counsellors, they have to have their own counsellor as well, don't they? That's all part of it.
All part of it. You have your own counsellor, you go to supervision, which is kind of like a mastermind kind of thing. You take along a situation, think, I'm not sure what to do with this if this happened again, and things like that. So it's the same kind of thing, but you have to do that ethically. You have to do that as part of being a counsellor. But it should be the same for all businesses. It's being able to have that space for you to develop, but have time for you, like being truly listened to, particularly if you've got family around, because the kids ain't going to listen to you. You can't bounce stuff off them. And your partner may be, busy with his own world and stuff. But actually what's really key is the independent part of it. So working with people that got your back, but also independently, that you don't see regularly, and really investing on you, because you are also investing in on them, particularly when you're involved. Definitely.
Yeah, it's so powerful about being part of a mastermind. Absolutely agree.
Definitely.
And so what do you do in terms of creating the best work-life balance for you? What does that look like?
I guess I'm very much, I have a vision board, always work the vision board. So like whether it's for the next 6 months, a year or longer, I always have a vision board that I keep looking at, keep sort of going, yep, that's where I want to go. And sometimes it's just like inspirational things, I think, that really drive me forward. I then break that down into goals. I have to have some sort of goals, but I tend to bring them both together. So I have my personal and my work goals together, because I think they intertwine, particularly with me, because I just want to be myself 24/7. I don't want to be different. Yes, I have a professional side that I need to when I'm working with a client, but I still want to be me throughout it all. But yeah, I will always have my goals there. And then I'm very much a list girl. I have to write everything down. I love crossing off from a to-do list. And then, I have to keep checking in every week. I go, what's this week been like? What's next week been like? And making sure I'm not squishing too much in, because then I get too exhausted, and then I'm not being truly, I'm not having that work-life balance that I'm dreaming of and everything. I know there's some days I can't quite nail it, but that's really, really important, so that I can be truly me and be truly relaxed as well.
It's interesting you say being truly me.
Yeah.
Is that because you feel like sometimes we have to wear different personas in our lives?
Yeah, and it all stems back from my time in retail, in the corporate world, is that I felt I had to put a mask on. I had to not be me. And any time I was me, I was just like almost squished down, and I hated that. And I think that's one of the reasons that I knew that I needed to find something that works for me. But yeah, it's so difficult, and I think a lot of people are affected by this, that they have to put a different face on for different scenarios. But actually, the energy to put on a different face just takes it out of you. And actually, are you really serving the people to the best? And I know it's really difficult, and sometimes it's habit, but it's really important that you can remove a bit of that putting a face on, and start to really understand about being you, because actually people get the best when you're truly yourself.
Yeah, totally. And I think that, one thing I like to talk about a lot is people need to recognize how much their own well-being and how much their own mental health is going to affect how effective and successful they are in business, especially with small business owners, because we are the front of the business often, and the only person in the business often. And we need to be at the top of our game as much as we can, and that means looking after ourselves, giving ourselves grace, and being human, and being okay with showing some vulnerability.
Definitely. And it's really important with the self-care part. So I've had some health issues, and I'm working with a nutritionist, because I needed that support to enable me to continue growing the business where I want, because I've got these great things that I want to keep driving towards. But how do I do that when my body says, nah, you're not going to do that today? And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, I didn't do too much yesterday. So it's really important that you get that support from other people to be able to make sure that your self-care is there, whether it's finding a personal trainer or blocking out time to do some things. And I'm a big believer, if you've got a dog, it's an absolute advantage, because you have to take them for a walk. So done my walk this morning with Bella. That just sets me up for the day. So it's just making sure if there's any little things that you can do, whether it's midday for a lunch, go for a little power walk and things like that, that really does help. And obviously breathing is a big part of that. But if you can, that is just super, super important.
And it is so easy to let those things slip. And I think that's where, being part of the Evolve Mastermind or in the Cocoon, when you're hearing from other people who pop on and say, today I feel really good because I went and walked the dog and I listened to a podcast, and then it's like a trigger to remind you, hang on, I need to be prioritizing that too. So we can live in our own little world of just like trying to get through the day, trying to get everything done, and forget about this stuff that we need to be doing. So what tips could you give our listeners that you give your clients about getting that work-life balance? What do they need to be aware of?
Oh gosh, that's quite a hard question, actually, thinking about it. I think big thing for me is making sure you write everything down. So if you're feeling a bit rubbish, just feeling a bit rubbish today, just write everything down. What's going on? Get some of that stuff out of your head onto paper, because as soon as you've done that, already you'll feel lighter. That's just naturally you'll feel lighter. Also, it helps if you can do that before you go to bed so that you can have a better night's sleep. But yeah, I tend to encourage people to get everything out on paper and get them to, yeah, write it down, and then start working through that, to work out, is that just an annoyance and you can get rid of it and say, no, thank you, not gonna, or is that something you think, do you know what, I'm going to do that next year, and just helping them break it down. I think that's the thing that I tend to do myself, but I also tend to encourage others to do. And then one of the exercises I tend to do with them on the first session is looking at that work-life balance. So it's going, okay, so if you want to exercise and you're not doing it now, what's stopping you? And then just, and I guess challenging them. But yeah, writing it down tends to be the thing that gets out of your head onto paper, because some of it's relevant.
Yeah, and we underestimate how much space in our brains that stuff takes up when it's just floating around like a snow globe. I love using the snow globe analogy. When you shake a snow globe up and you can't see clearly because you've got all this stuff going on in your head, and that's completely natural. But we need to learn to put the snow globe down and let the water settle. And, doing that, getting it out on paper, like you say, really, really helps.
Yeah. Definitely. And it's just kind of, sometimes it's like you've got your shopping list running around your head, write it down, and the little jobs to do, like, oh, I must put the washing up, write it down, because if it's down, it's half out of your head. But also it's just so, for me, I love just crossing out. I even write things that I know that I've already done so that I can cross it out.
A done list is a great thing to do, especially when you're one of those people that you make the to-do list, but then you actually seem to find a million and other things to do, and then you think, I haven't done anything on my to-do list. Yes, but look at your done list.
Exactly.
So what's coming up next for you? How are you planning to grow your business?
So I am, as you guys encouraged me on the Evolve, I've actually done a photo shoot, and I'm putting together, and I've worked with a lovely lady called Laura to do all my words and all my copy. So I'm now going to be putting out my information a bit more clearly for people to really know who I can help. And get that communicated out. And I've had to have January off due to the COVID. It's really knackered me, so I feel like this is my January. But yeah, just getting out there and just as helping as many people as possible, whilst also, as we've already mentioned, training to be a counsellor. So I have to put some time aside for that. So which I'm really, really enjoying. It's hard work, but I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, I think it's just helping more people, and then potentially running some more workshops, really, because that's where quite a few people have come to me for one-on-ones, and they're all asking, can we have some more workshops? So yeah, so I think I'll be going down a little bit down that route as well, trying to fit everything in.
But pacing yourself at the same time.
Definitely, no question about it. No question about it. I'm not going to do too much because it's no point, So yeah.
And where can people find out more about you?
So I've got a website, which is yourtimecoaching.com. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and mainly LinkedIn as well. That tends to be where, I've got a lot of connections through. But yeah, it tends to be there. And, I'm based in Dorset. But the thing that I do love is that I have clients in different countries as well, which is fantastic. And it doesn't matter because I'm online. I do things on telephone, but then I also meet people in person in a nice cafe with a coffee and cake, which is always a bonus.
Can't beat it. Can't beat it.
No, exactly.
So my last question is, if you could go back and speak to yourself when you first made that transition from leaving retail and setting up on your own, what advice would you give yourself?
I'd probably say do more of just go for it and worry about it later. Because I think I was taking like little steps, and I was like nervous steps, but actually it's just like, and investing on you was the thing that didn't really do very much of. I did to be able to do, learning all about coaching and how to facilitate meetings and how to process it through and everything. But actually, the thing that I really didn't do enough of is investing on me. And developing me and building up that part of not worrying, particularly because I've not done a business before. So, and it would have been things like doing Evolve straight away, and doing something like that straight away would have been really, really helpful.
I think you're not alone. And I know for me as well, I spent years trying to do everything on a shoestring budget, trying to get all the free information I could, trying to cobble it all together. And it takes ages to do it that way. And you make mistakes and you waste money and all these things. But I think, you get to a point where the light bulb moment where you realize, hang on a minute, I'm making it much harder for myself than it needs to be.
Definitely. I did some things and I was just like, why? But yeah, that's what I definitely just, go for it and do a bit more investing and don't worry too much about the money side of things, because it will come through.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Sarah.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Life Friendly Business Podcast. If you'd like to make your business more life friendly, we have everything you need in the Cocoon VIP membership. The Cocoon is a fully online training and membership program that's available to you 24/7 via your laptop, tablet or smartphone. You'll have access to our extensive training library to build the skills you need to thrive, experts on hand for when you get stuck, and the sisterhood and support you need to put the wind in your sails. Join us now at lifefriendlybusiness.com/cocoon.